This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
He was a giant, and he was a cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat.
What's going on, Elvis?
Hey, what's going on? Nice seeing you.
Man, it is hump night, Wednesday night, middle of the week. We're talking football. We want to talk about the Giants. We want to talk about whatever we can talk about in the locker room. Hopefully we can get Phil McConkey on here with us, but just welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's been a while, but it looks like the game's going to really change quite a bit since we've been in there.
Absolutely.
Is that Elvis?
That's Elvis.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Oh,
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself? You looking good.
I'm doing great, man. I got a lot of gray hair, but at least I still have hair. Byron and I were talking about that earlier.
I'm bald.
Yeah, but you still look good, man.
Maybe I should have worn my hat, but I said I might as well just leave it off.
Man, you guys look great.
Man, it's good to see you guys, man. It's awesome just to see you guys as well. And, we will just talk about football on Wednesday night. You know, we got an hour. You guys are always welcome to come back anytime you want to. But we always try to get the fans and the people around the country to see, get a feel for what's going on in the offseason, inside the locker room, what's on the players' mind, what the players are doing now. So, you guys can introduce yourself, and then we can get the show kicked off.
Go ahead, E.
Elvis, you want to go first?
Well, I'm Elvis Patterson, 10 years in the NFL, changed the game special teams wise, did all that you can possibly do. I was more of a hitter in the game. The game can change now, so most likely it wouldn't fit my style of play.
Yeah, Elvis, you went to the University of Kansas, grew up in Texas, and all that good stuff?
Yes, sir. I'm a Jack Yates guy there. I also went to Bryan High School in Bryan College Station. Then went to the Giants, left there, stayed there 3 years, left there, went to San Diego for 3 years, went to the Raiders for like 3 years, and then ended up my last year with the Cowboys.
Great, yeah. Outstanding 10-year career. What about you, Phil?
That's for sure. I grew up on the mean streets of Buffalo, and from there I went to the Naval Academy and flew planes for 5 years and showed up when you guys were there. Elvis, you got there in '84. Byron, you were already there.
83, yeah.
Yeah, I went to training camp in '83, but I still had another year in the Navy. Got out and did my time with the Giants, and great teammates abound, especially you two guys. And then played briefly with the Packers, Cardinals, and Chargers. Finished up with the Chargers here in San Diego. Actually, at that point, I moved back to New York where I was living, and after I got married and had a little baby girl, New York City was a little tough, so we moved out here to San Diego and been out here since 2005.
Wow. Yeah. I know today you and I, Phil, was talking about your daughter. She's also in the Navy Academy as well. Fill us in a little bit about her.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I failed miserably at spoiling my only child. I was an older father. I waited a long time before I got married. I was a father at 46 years old. And you don't have to tell you guys have kids, but it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life. And I failed miserably at spoiling her. I tried to spoil her to death, my only child, my little girl. And and she wouldn't let me, her mother wouldn't let me. And it's interesting. She's at the Naval Academy, and it really doesn't have much to do with me going there. Years ago, I think she was a freshman or sophomore in high school. The Navy track team would come out to San Diego for 10 days during spring break and run a couple meets. And I knew the kids, I knew the coach really well, and I got to know the kids. And there was a young woman who, I had the kids over to my house, and there was a young woman on the track team. I think she was a sophomore at the Naval Academy. She became friends with my daughter. My daughter's in high school. She's at the Naval Academy. And her senior year, this young woman became the first ever Black female brigade commander in history.
Wow.
So there's 4,500 midshipmen, right? Women got there my sophomore year, 1976. And so that was a long time coming. And just by the way, she's going to be president of the United States one day, Sydney Barber. Remember that name, Sydney Barber?
Yeah.
She's an amazing young woman. So that was my daughter's influence, and that's how my daughter got there. And I digress, got away from football, but you asked me about my daughter.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's what we want to hear on this type of show. So, and that's good. And I just wanted to take us all back to the 80s, I guess, with Bill Parcells and the coaching staff and the guys who was on that team. I mean, we had some of the greatest players of all time. And you when you get to see guys, you get to go to the Super Bowl, and you had a reunion there with the Giants. You get to see guys as we age and have our families and stuff, and then we get to, share stories, man, which is good. And now we got grandkids and families all over the place. So it's good to have you guys on tonight to just share some of that in-depth relationship that we always have, that we always will have as well. So it's just good that you guys made time to be on the show tonight.
Well, thank you. And it's nice seeing you again, Phil. It's been a while since I've seen you since that reunion. Huh?
Yes, sir.
I tell you what,
it's been
I
a while.
always rave about you and the way you used to catch all those punts and stuff back there with one hand behind your back and doing all the little things. I say, man, I couldn't understand how you could judge a ball in a minute.
Well, I was lucky because that's how I got on the field, man. You two guys had just unbelievable talent, both of you, incredibly athletic and fast and quick. And Byron, man, I used to try to copy you coming off the line of scrimmage, and Elvis just trying to beat the jam. That's another thing today. These wide receivers, they wear those. They couldn't get off that jam, man. If you got up in front of, I don't care who it is, Stephon Diggs, the kid from Minnesota, any of these kids, and they let you jam, they're not running their routes, man. I'm telling you, that's how tough. Elvis, I tell people all the time, your size, your speed, your quickness. I mean, I don't know, what were you, like 185, 5'11"? You were quick as heck, you fast as heck, and strong, man. When you didn't want a guy to get off the line of scrimmage, he wasn't getting off the line of scrimmage. These kids today wouldn't know how to handle you.
I know it. And man, when he comes up for the bump and run, man, you better be ready. He would jam you. Sometimes he wore his neck brace, and he'll intimidate you. He talk noise to you, and man, if you ain't in the right mindset, he ain't gonna let you off the line of scrimmage. I'm telling you. So you're absolutely right. So Elvis, share with everybody why you got the name Toast. How did that come about?
Well, when I got to New York, everybody had names. You had LT, you had Harry O, you had Carl. All of y'all had names.
Skillet Head, remember Skillet Head?
Yeah, everybody had names. So Parcells said, "I'm going to make you famous." I'm like, "What you talking about? I'm going to call you Toast. You're the only person that I know that can handle something like that with your attitude." So I started laughing. I was hesitant at the very beginning. But then, after a while, it started panning out where, all of us, I mean, I wouldn't have had the career. I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I did on the football field if it wasn't for y'all. I mean, and what was so good about it, we were so tight and we were so close as a team. Right. It made us very, very competitive because we didn't want to lose. And I think our whole time as a football player changed after that Chicago game. When we went to play Chicago up there, and we lost that game, we knew when we came back that next year,
Yeah.
we was going to win that thing. It wasn't no doubt. Wasn't nothing nobody was going to do that was going to stop us.
You're
And I
you're 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 so right. And then your first point, kind of reminds me of that saying. What is it? Iron sharpens iron. I
Yeah.
think going against each other and competing in practice the way we did made all of us better. Byron, I used to try to emulate you to whatever degree I could because man, you were a thoroughbred. You were a unique talent, and Elvis. We had battles, man. I got a lot better because the games were easy compared to getting jammed by you in practice, man. Nobody could do that. So I felt relieved getting in a game, getting off the jam,
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, and yeah, he prepared you ready, and the game was so much easier once because we had it hard in practice. That's what I was telling everybody. We made each other better in practice, no doubt. And Parcells, they had a big article come out called the Parcells Fabulous Five. All the receivers. It was me, Bobby Johnson, Lionel Manuel, Phil McConkey, and Stacey Robinson, and all five of us had something unique that we did differently. And that's why we fitted as it wasn't no real superstar as a wide receiver, but we together fill so many gaps. I mean, for his blocking, running off routes, and then we had a tight end for Mark Navarro and Zeke Moore. I mean, just the combination of things that we did on the field together, what made us really a big unit on the offense.
Well, and that defense, I just mentioned Elvis, but the rest of the defense was as good as it got, and we practice. We practice hard. It's not like today. I think they don't. I don't even think they put pads on anymore. They hardly practice, and we went at it, full pads every day, and we made each other better.
Yeah, exactly. I would tell somebody too that Harry Custom would get on you. I remember one time I slammed my helmet down on the football field or something, and he said, "You can't do that." Harry Carson was in my face and said, "You don't do that. You just don't do that. That's not the way we play football." And, I mean, he would, if you get stepped out of line, they would put you back in line, and that was a good thing about our team, man. We were there for each other, and we was all on the same page.
Yeah, speaking on that, yeah, Harry was a great captain. I think the whole defensive line, along with the whole, believe me, not only the defensive line, that offensive line was some dogs too. I
Yeah.
mean, when we used to practice and stuff, it used to really get intense because then nobody wanted to lose.
Yeah.
So what it ended up happening, what Bill did was he made us compete against each other so hard that it didn't matter. If I had a receiver from another team, I wasn't worried about him because I had y'all to deal with every day. So to me, y'all was the best receivers that was in the league. So it made my job a lot easier. So if I can jam y'all or do whatever I needed with you, I wasn't worried about somebody else getting off the line or doing whatever they want. It was just a matter of time that we'll be able to capitalize on it defensive wise. But I think that because of the way that y'all practice, you ran route. Byron was extremely fast as heck. We already know that. So wasn't nobody as fast as you were. You know what I'm saying? When Stacy came, he was there. Bobby then had real good speed. Lionel had real good speed. Mark had real good speed. McConkey was really quick and had some speed. You know what I'm saying? But all of y'all was a challenge. Didn't matter. And that challenge is, when you have to study the game, you learn the game through the eyes of your teammates. So every day that we had to go, we had to practice against y'all. It made us a lot better because we didn't want you to do anything to beat us.
Yeah.
And if somebody did something to one of y'all or something on the football field, we took offense to it defensively, and we was going to go and dog out them.
Yeah.
And that's the way the game was played on the other side of the ball from y'all. So if anybody did something to y'all, and we got wind of it, it was payback time for that other team.
Yeah.
I remember to that point. I remember returning a punt, and you were on the punt return team as a blocker. You would block Elvis. You'd block the gunners, and I remember being at the bottom of a pile and guys trying to dig, and you'd be like my personal protector. You're up there pulling guys off me and, picking me up like I was your little brother, protecting me. So I always remember that and appreciate that. But your point is well taken. I think the big thing for us is the leadership that we had. You mentioned Harry. But George Martin,
Oh, yes,
captain of
yes.
captains, those guys ran the locker room. And and think about Lawrence. As great as he was, but he was that free spirited guy. Maybe in a locker room that didn't have that kind of veteran savvy leadership like Harry and George, maybe Lawrence is not the same guy. You
That's
know,
right.
and they kept everybody in check, and we had fun and we did things, but they were bigger leaders than Parcells and all the coaches.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we was I remember one of the things that when we had to come in for training camp, we had to run those 220s and
Oh,
we had to run those times.
Johnny Parker.
Hey, I'm telling you, we was in the best
Best
shape.
shape, right? What? So for your audience, because I remember this clearly, we had to run first we had to run 200 meters, right? The first one we ran for time, and
Yeah,
then the rest of them had to be within 5 seconds or 6 seconds of your best time,
right.
and you had a minute and a half rest in between each one. Try go and run a 200
I
with a
had to
minute
run
and a
all
half
night on
rest.
the 28. I'm telling you, I was like, shoot, man. Man, and Parcells, he would like to come on there and say some of the dirtiest thing to you. Oh, you
Yeah.
ain't in shape, or he'll say something that's funny.
So
And
so I gotta mention this before I forget it. I've been hitting the head a lot of times. Elvis, I have a photo of us running that in training camp. I don't know what year it is, and you and I were around the corner, and like Bobby might be. I think Bobby's in the picture or Lionel. But I gotta get that picture to you, man. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Before you get out, I'll send you my address.
Yes, sir. That'd be
yeah,
great.
Elvis can run too. Now we
Oh,
had Prairie Williams. We had some guys that could run, man. We
yeah,
probably could have ran a national relay, probably.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then we
man.
brought Mark Collins in, and a lot of
Yeah,
guys, prior to that, draft and all that. I think that we got rid of. I think when we came there before Byron, I think you was there 1 year ahead of me,
yeah,
Yep,
and I think you
83.
had who was that? Wasn't that Ernest Gray that was there?
yeah. Ernest Gray was there. Yeah,
So you ended up staying. Ernest got to leave. Mark ended up leaving the next year. Mark Haynes.
yeah. Mark
Yep,
Haynes. Yeah,
Then we end up, bringing in, some other guys. So our team was built like that. There was a lot of guys that was older veterans that we had to beat out.
yeah.
so
A lot of us. Even
Right.
when McConkey was there, it was really hard because they was really pushing you real hard. You had to do a lot of crazy stuff in order to
yeah,
make that team.
yeah,
And you stood
absolutely.
up and did everything that was asked of you and more.
Well, listen, Elvis, I remember at 84 when you came in, you were a rookie free agent from Kansas, as was Bobby Johnson,
Yeah,
right? What are the odds two rookie free agents from the same school, make a team like that?
yeah,
That was unbelievable, what you guys were able to do and come in and accomplish, starters right away. Rookie free agents, unheard of.
yeah.
Yeah, during that time when we came in, this is what I told Bobby. I said, Bobby, what we're going to do is this. I'm not going to go against you in practice. I'm going to shut everybody else down. I'm going to go against everybody else. And we used to move
Let
in
me
the
get that little
line.
white guy and put him in his
And
place.
so that's how we ended up like doing it. But Bobby had some really great hands.
Oh,
He didn't even look whenever he was called to move his hand. He was able to just grab it real
At the
fast.
last second.
And that's how good he was.
Yeah,
yeah.
Byron had speed. Lionel had some crazy leg stuff, and then you had and McConkey. You was just who you were, and you was just a great athlete. For
yeah.
you to be able to catch punts, I don't know, 1,000 miles up from what's that, LaShawn?
Sean
Uh,
Landetta. I talked to
yeah,
Sean Landetta
the
today.
way he be kicking it all up to like the ceiling
Yeah.
and stuff, it was crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
But
Yeah,
I
you know
loved it.
what? That ability, that's what made it for me, catching punts, because you think about it, Parcells defensive coach, a Belichick defensive coach, Romeo defensive coach, they
mhm,
come up with a scheme to get their defense off the field. The last thing they want is that little SOB punt returner fumbling the ball, right?
yeah,
So So when they saw I could do that, and by the way, when my first camp, I was still in the Navy, and Byron, you were there. Leon Bright was the incumbent punt returner, and he
Yeah.
was as good as there was in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then, he played 83, and then 84, I think he held out,
Yeah.
and they shipped him off, and that's what gave me that opportunity.
Yeah. He went down to Tampa somewhere. He went to Florida.
Right.
Yeah. Leon Bright.
No fair catches.
Yeah. He
I
didn't
mean,
get. He didn't want to never get.
Hey, look, I'm dumb, but I'm not stupid. I'm fair catching them when I have to, because I don't want
I
to
can
fumble the
remember some of
ball.
those days running down on a punt team and blasting up some things.
Good evening, Rick.
Yes, you did.
Rick is one of our loyal followers. He always coming on, and he's from Amsterdam, New York, Bill.
All right.
But yeah, it was good. It was good to have all those memories, man. It just those stories never die, man. It just enriches us as we get older. So that's what's really good about hearing everything that we're talking
But
about.
you know the most unusual thing now? They trying to take special teams out of the game completely.
Yeah.
Come on.
We just talked about that last week.
I mean, and that made, we win games on special teams alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now they gonna took out. There's no more hitting. There's no more this and that. And,
Can you imagine onside kick?
oh my
How
God!
can you surprise the other team if you're an onside kick?
Yeah. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, they coming up with a lot of things that I'm thinking is taking the fun out of the game. You're making it easy to coach. You're not putting the challenge to the players. I think it's really the hip. Even the tackling. You can't hit. You can't wear your pads in practice. It's something that grows now.
Think about to that point. These receivers today going across the middle back then when we played.
Mhm.
They go through now with impunity. You can't hit the guy.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Ronnie Lott, Kenny Easley, Elvis Patterson, guys like that, Kenny Hill? You run an in cut, man. You take your life into your hands back then. Today, you can't do anything to these guys. Gosh, I would love to play receiver today.
And then you get on injured reserve. It seems like these guys stay on injured reserve the whole month, 5 weeks or 6 weeks. Now we get hurt, we back out there quick. We didn't take time off.
No,
injury wise, that's the thing that I really want to, speak on. And the reason these players this day and age get hurt more rapidly than what we was is because we built up for contact. They're not building up for contact no more.
Yeah.
Everything is more stretching, being limber, this and
Dead
that.
on.
So they can't take an impact hit. They can't take a hit. That's why a lot of them is being injured as much more than what we were. Huh?
We had like weeks of two-a-days before the first preseason game. Weeks, every day, twice a day.
Yes.
Hitting, and you condition your body to be able to withstand not only the hitting but the cutting, right?
Yes.
And doing those things in reaction and the change of direction. We were so repetitive with it, and today they just don't do that. And they're much more brittle. Look, these are some great athletes. I'm telling you, the kids today are unbelievable athletes, but they didn't get conditioned as hard as we did. So I think you see a lot more injuries.
Yeah. And even in training camp, after a week of training camp, you're so sore. It's you sleep in those beds and at the dorm or whatever. It was really awakening.
How about no air conditioning? In the locker room at training camp, it was in a basement. The kids today would go on strike if they had no air conditioning.
Yeah, times have really changed. But I'm with the NFLPA, so I get to hear about these new rules and the hip drop tackling and all these new rules that they have. So it just we made it better for the game. So we the pioneer guys that really made the game what it is today. So congratulations to you guys for what you mean to the game. seem like these younger guys, though, when we meet in training camp and leadership academies, leadership conferences, a lot of those guys come up and say, "We really appreciate y'all." And so I want to say that too. Some of these guys, these young players now, they really appreciate all the hard work that we did to make things the way they are now.
That's good to hear, Byron. Really good to hear.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
they tell me almost every year. I mean, I talk to a lot of guys, and they say, "Man, we really appreciate you guys," and that's why we try to make sure guys receive these benefits and improve the healthcare initiatives and things like
Yes.
that. So that's why I'm always constantly talking to people to let them know it's so much better. I mean, you hear some of these horror stories, but they never talk about the good things that's going on behind the closed doors as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Indeed, we have came a long ways. I think that the game is in a better place than when it came to us,
Mhm.
and the next generation needs to leave the game in a better place than when they received it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
we took care of our era. They need to take care of this era now, whatever it is, so they be taken care of on the other back end. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
things that you must do, huh?
Yeah, exactly right. And the numbers are true. We have about 300 to 400 players that go into the NFL every year. We have about 300 and 400 players that die in the NFL every year across the country, and it's about anywhere between 22 to 25,000 retired players. And so those numbers are really good. We are in a unique class, a unique fraternity, and then that's one of the things I always try to talk to the guys here when I run in the chapter here in Dallas. We want to make sure that guys can tap into those resources. What people don't know as well, every player that played in the NFL have an NFLPA ID number. That number, it will be with you for the rest of your life, like a Social Security number. I talked to Darren Woodson today. He wanted me to get his number for him, so I was able to call up there and get his number. So those are the things that I really want to share with people, let them know that it's a lot of good things going on with the NFL former players as well.
yeah, that's so good to hear, and appreciate everything you do, Byron, to help our brothers, because it wasn't like that the era before us,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that generation, those guys got a lot of pain, and they didn't get the benefits that we got. So, I love the way you always pay homage to those that went before us, because they paved the way and made it easier for us, and the next generation has it easier than we had. But we continue to do that and take care of each other, because it truly is a brotherhood. Doesn't matter when you played or what teams you played on. It's a pretty unique fraternity, and just I'm so proud to have been a part of it. I'm so proud to have been teammate of both of you guys, man. Athletic wise, two of the best ever at corner and receiver. Byron, I just remember you with your size and speed able to just, and I wish I could have, manhandle some of those DPs the way you could, man, and take them out and block downfield. And I just sit there and envy. It's like, because I wanted to get revenge on some of these guys, and you'd go in and kind of take care of it for the rest of us, because Bobby wasn't doing it, and Lionel didn't have that ability, but you were kind of that
I was a bully.
typical.
I was a bully. I
You,
was benching 360 back in the day. And
yeah,
I
you
remember I was
were.
downfield blocking one time, and Joe Morris ran up my butt. I said, "Dang, Joe, can you see?"
you,
He ran right up my butt.
you you were the enforcer. You may have been the best blocking wide receiver of our era, man. Because I'm telling you, when you got it into you, and I just remember you coming to the sideline saying, "I'm going to get that guy," and you'd go out and you'd get him, man, and you'd lay him out.
Yeah, well, I first started off being in the wishbone offense. First thing we had to do was learn how to block, so that helped me out a lot, But yeah, those memories was great, man. What I love about playing with you guys was we still are connected to each other, and we still talk about each other's families, and I talk to Elvis all the time, and and so it's just good that we keep up with each other. The day I called. Sean Landella. I talked to Sean Landella today. I
He's a
called Andy
character,
Head. I
man.
called
He's
Byron
he.
Hunt. I saw Lawrence Taylor at the Super Bowl. And it seemed like when you see guys that we played with, it seemed like it was yesterday. Everybody embraced each other and start from there.
Yeah, you're right. It's like yesterday. And you mentioned all those guys, and it's great. But that Landetta, man, what a character he was. Oh, my goodness. Oh, one of a kind.
You know what he told me? He said, Byron, I'm in Atlanta right now. He fly all over the city, all over the place. He said, when I come to Dallas, I'm going to see Spencer Tillman. I'm going to see Tillman. I'm going to see Stacey Dillard. I'm going to see all these guys. And I'm going to see you. So I said, yeah, break it on. Come on down here. So he's a hoop, man. I saw him at the Super Bowl. And the first thing I wanted to tell him, you know, Parcells got on his butt that time when he was out there selling them tickets.
No, I don't know if you remember, we put a fake ticket booth next to his locker with the tape on the ground. He was something else, but you know, he was a player too, man. That guy, you know, he was out there with Bob Guccione and Penthouse at the Penthouse Pets and all that, and he can get around, that guy, back in the day.
Yeah, he's famous. He became famous. So I saw him at the Super Bowl at Franco Harris event, and we was in there signing balls, and man, he couldn't believe that he saw me. So we've been connecting ever since. So that was a good time to seek and catch up with Sean, man, because he is a hoop, man. He's a great guy.
I tell you what, that was a great punter. I don't care what nobody tell you. Ooh, I used to love being the gunner on Sean. He kicked the ball way up there. I've got you, huh?
Yeah,
I got you. You know
I was gonna say you had some of the biggest hits on some of them punts he put down there.
Hey man, when you got great teammates and everybody do their job, he punt the ball up high enough so we can get up there. Y'all work real hard in practice to make someone else better. I think that makes a big difference, because when you got to go look at your teammate in the face and you have to go see this, I would hate to, let you down, that I didn't do my best. And it's the same thing with y'all. You know what I'm saying? When I looked at y'all, hey, you got to do it. I knew we was going to have success because we had it together. Because if you can beat me, or if I can beat you, I know you can beat them, because I guarantee you they're going to have a hard time when it comes to me. Just like the other person's going to have a hard time when it came to y'all, whenever it came time to go play or do whatever you had to do. And that what makes it so good. And I just still rave about the way you was able to return those punts, catch them with one hand behind your back. I still ain't figured it all out. You knew how to count it. I was like, oh my God, he ain't missed nothing, huh?
The big thing, though, is that I think the trust that we had amongst ourselves, right? You know, defense stops the other team. You know, you go to the bench and you had trust that I was going to go out there and, and catch the ball. But so let me tell you, we're talking about Parcells and, the type of guy he was and how he motivated everybody in his own way.
Yeah.
We win the Super Bowl, right? And we come back to training camp the next year and we're looking at, 4 or 5 weeks of 2-a-days, or 2 weeks before the preseason game. And I might be the best on the planet catching punts. I'm not talking about running for touchdown. I'm talking about just catching, like Elvis said. Yeah. In fact, remember the Redskins game in the hurricane, to go to the Super Bowl, Elvis, is 50-mile-an-hour gusts. I caught all the balls and there a guy let them all hit the ground. So anyway, I'm out there. It's the second morning practice. And at the end of practice, I was running a route and a DB got his finger in my eye. And I go and I got Ronnie Barnes take me to an eye doctor. I have a scratched cornea. So he put a medicine in my eye and a black patch. You have no depth perception. Any other coach, you got the afternoon off, or maybe you don't come back to practice till your vision comes back. But not Parcells. We got to go to practice. So I go to practice. And by the way, I didn't have lunch. I was still in the same pads from the morning. So I go through practice and catching passes wasn't so bad. Yeah. But afterwards, I got to catch punts. You remember the jugs machine and,
yes.
3 punters, they're all done. Look, I was struggling. I was catching them, but I wasn't juggling them or catching them behind my back. So anyway, the punters are all gone. All the other, returners taking my job, trying to take my job, are gone. And I'm out there with me, Parcells standing next to me, 50 yards away, a ball boy with the jugs machine. And I'm catching them. Again, I'm struggling, but I'm catching them. Right at the end, it's like 5 o'clock. I'm watching all you guys come out of the locker room after your second shower, going to your second meal. I'm in the same stuff. I'm starving. I'm tired. I got a black patch over my eye. Anyway, ball comes down, goes right through me. I go to the ground. I fumbled it. Parcells is standing over me, yelling at me as if I fumbled away the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? I hated. I wanted to just strangle him.
Yeah.
But you know what? He forced all of us to concentrate and focus so far beyond what we thought was possible that got the best out of us.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that's great coaching.
Well,
Yeah.
that's right too. I mean, there's a lot of other things that goes into that too. You can be a great coach too, but that don't mean you're a good person on the outside. Because I also believe that every man have a right to be able to earn a living too, huh? So, and I'm going to leave you with that, huh?
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to use an athlete, any coach, owner, no matter who it is, then if you don't want that player or whatever, you shouldn't blackball them. You shouldn't talk down on them. You should allow the man to go somewhere else. A lot of times, an athlete, a player, don't have an opportunity to talk about a coach or something like that, especially when things go behind closed doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
But that's a part of
but
life, part of the game, huh?
yeah, the good thing about football, it teaches you a lot about life and how to move on and how to keep your head forward, and look up. So, that's what I learned a lot. But it's nothing like the teammates that we had, the talk in the locker rooms. I mean, it's so much that our early life prepares us for right now, for these moments right now, which that's how I look at it. It just we can't go back and relive some of that stuff, but I always take the positive to try to build my life around the positive.
And I appreciate, the fact that, you talk about brotherhood and, here we are decades later, and I never had a brother in real life, but, through that experience with you guys and playing football, I feel like I have dozens, right? And it may be years go by, but, it's the same stuff. Elvis, you're a 22, 23-year-old kid to me forever, It's Byron, same thing. When I think of you guys, that's how I think of you. I don't think of you guys like 60-year-old guys. It just doesn't compute,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey Phil, you do you remember that time you tried to get all of us and fly us in the helicopter around the city? Did you?
yeah, yeah. The ownership and coaches weren't having any of that. So they said, if you want to go up and take care of yourself, you go, but you're not bringing any of the players. So
Man, I thought we were gonna have us a receiver retreat, going around the
yeah,
city.
that's right, man. Fly around Manhattan, world, all that. That would have been fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also before we get out of here, I want to make sure that I thank you both for being such great men and leaders also, and being a great brother and a teammate. That's very rare. I love you guys. I will continue to love you, and I got tremendous amount of respect for you, no matter what. Not only you, but every teammate, every player that I've ever played with. This goes out to all of you. I got tremendous amount of respect for you, and I say God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. Huh?
Well, so well said, Elvis. I couldn't have put it in better terms. Thank you for portraying what I feel.
Yeah, and I'm glad some people get a chance to hear this, because you hear a lot of negative that's about former football players and some of the things they do. You hear about what they go through in their families and stuff, drugs, this, divorce, or whatever. This is not the case at all. It's all about what we meant for each other. How we have those special memories that only we know. Like I just mentioned, by going up around and flying up in the helicopter and things like that. Just how Elvis would used to talk to you and not let you get off the line of scrimmage and things like that. And then now we can call each other and share updates, of what is it that we qualify for as benefits. And those are some of the good things that we have conquered, for us where we are now.
So I remember, speaking about, that brotherhood, I remember returning a punt, and Byron, you were on the punt receiving team, and some guy was giving me a little extra at the bottom, and we came off, and I was getting upset, and you came over to me. He goes, "You said, don't worry. Next return, I'm going to F him up." You and you went out, and I think you did. I don't know what letter of the alphabet you used, but you used one.
He got messed up. That's for sure. Because if I'm gonna get him, I'm gonna get him. I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
we just had each other back, and that's the good thing. We know that you don't mess with one of us without messing with all of us. So that's a good thing.
And we made each other better.
Do y'all remember a guy named Rufus Porters?
Yes, sir.
Don't you remember when our lineman wouldn't block him? Remember he played on the special teams, and I pinned him every time he came down
Yeah.
the field.
Yeah, I listen. I remember that instance, and I just remember, man, when you didn't want somebody to get off the line of scrimmage, they were not getting off the line of scrimmage. I had never seen anything like it, right? And Byron, you and I played against some, all greatest corners in the league. I tell people all the time, I still talk about Elvis's athletic ability and his strength and his quickness and his speed. And if Elvis didn't want Jerry Rice to get off the line of scrimmage, Jerry Rice was not getting off the line of scrimmage. And by the way, for the folks out there, if you can't get off the line of scrimmage, you can't run your pattern, you can't catch a pass. You're taken out of the play.
Yeah, it was. He was stuffy on the line of scrimmage. He was known for that. Hey, Carlos want to know what are your thoughts on the new kickoff rules that we talked about that a little bit. You guys want to talk about the new kickoff rules? We talked about it. I guess he's just not getting on.
Elvis, go ahead. You were a great gunner.
I think that for somebody like me, it'd probably take me a week to figure it out, and I probably would demolish it. But I mean, because that's the type of attitude I got. I mean,
Yeah.
my whole point is to seek and destroy. Means that if there's a will, there's a way. And it ain't about what somebody do. It's your will. Do you want to make this play or not? If you want to make this play, you're going to make this play. If you want to beat this guy, you're going to beat this guy. It's all about the perception and where your mind is compared to anything else. I just think it's mind over matter. It's more about you and what God put in you compared to what he put in someone else, even though he put it in all of us. But some people can will things a little bit more than others can.
Yeah, I think what they've done this year, at least they're bringing back the kickoff return into the game. The past few years, it's been gone, right? There's hardly any kickoff returns, but I think the new rule is going to encourage returns, and I think that's an exciting play, and I think you'll get some exciting plays. So I kind of like what they've done, with the new kickoff rule.
Yeah, one of the things, I get a lot of comments because I'm with the NFLPA and I hear a lot of things, but a lot of things that they're doing is for the safety of the players and some of the things that to eliminate the big hits and things like that. So, but they're trying to make the game safer. Even the football fields, they identified maybe 7 football fields last year was unsafe because of the injuries to legs and knees and things like that. So and concussions. So they've been trying to just make it safer. And I guess that's what all these changes is all about. They have a committee, and these committee, they see the changes and the things that have been affected by the course of what happened the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to just want to update you guys on the Giants. They was talking about Daniel Jones, the quarterback. Do you think it's time for the Giants to get a new quarterback?
Well, I think I don't know. I think if the guy got hurt last year, the year before, they had a really good year. Hurt.
Sneaky Pete, he's a Giant fan. Hey, Sneaky Pete. Meet Elvis, Patterson, and Phil McConkey. This Sneaky Pete, man, he loved the Giants.
Sneaky Pete.
He's a diehard Giant fan.
There you go, Sneaky Pete. I don't know what the alternative is. I don't know if they move up to draft one of these phenoms. But again, no guarantee. You look at some of these drafts, and I think that the one draft that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen were in, I think the first couple picks, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and The other kid, Josh, somebody with the Cardinals, didn't make it.
Yeah.
Didn't even make it. Here's Lamar, last pick in the first round, and Josh Allen was a kid from Wyoming, raw as can be. Nobody thought he would make it, but
Yeah.
so 2 out of the 5. That's 40% in the first round. In fact, upper first round for most of those guys. Baker Mayfield was number 1 pick. Sam Darnold, I think, was 3 or 4, and
Right.
don't make it. So there's no guarantee.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people all the time. You rolling the dice when you getting these guys out of college. You don't know if they can make that huge adjustment on the next level. Like Zach Wilson over there with the Jets. Never could get off the ground. I mean, just look at the quarterbacks the last 2 or 3 years. You don't see too many having success in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that the Giants are looking at Penix though. I think that guy probably have an opportunity. They probably end up drafting him a little further down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Washington kid, he's pretty dynamic, man. He can do a lot of things.
He's a lefty too. He throw that left ball, and
But and I don't think nothing is wrong with Jones. What I believe it is it's all about what he wants to do as the quarterback, what type of leader he wants.
yeah,
If he can get his teammates and rally them around and build it throughout his offensive line, and you get confidence in each other, it don't really matter who you have at a quarterback or whatever position. But if you don't gel as a team, as a unit, it don't matter. I'm saying you have to do that. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs is so good no matter what. They don't even have wide receivers. Technically, they just getting some. But this guy can throw to anybody because he's good enough and he believes in himself. And it's the same exact thing. Everybody had that option to really honestly believe. And if you don't believe you got any indecision, something is wrong with that pitcher.
yeah,
And Mahomes has a good offensive line. Daniel Jones doesn't have a good offensive. I don't care if you drafted Caleb Williams to the Giants. That offensive line has not been very good for a few years.
yeah. You got to have an offensive line, and you got to be able to have some protection. I mean, you got to have time to throw that ball. Unless you Tom Brady, he gonna throw that ball off 2 seconds. He get that ball up out of there. But yeah, and then Saquon Barkley. What you guys think about Saquon going to Philly?
Yeah, I don't know about that one. You know what I'm saying? Philly was already loaded the way they were. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nothing wrong with them. I just think that what happened was time caught up with the offense. I think you lost your offense and your defensive coordinator after they went somewhere.
Yeah.
So people start stealing your coaches and stuff. Now what you gonna do? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think a big thing is he's going to have a much better offensive line. With an offensive line that could just give him a crease. That kid is dynamic, man. I hate to see him leave the Giants, but again, he's getting tackled in the backfield most of the time. He just didn't get any room to get started.
Yeah. And they talking about Daboll, the head coach is going to probably call the offensive plays. I don't know if you can do that being a head coach and then start calling your plays. I think ain't too many guys have had success doing that. You had some guys doing it, but that's one of the rumors that Daboll is going to be calling the offensive plays as well. But
right. What was so good about Bill Parcells was this: Bill knew offense, Bill knew special teams, Bill knew defense.
Right.
Yep.
And the bottom line is he coached every position that was on their field. He had something to say to each and every one of those players. No matter who you were on his football team, he was going to coach you up one way or another. And I think that's what a head coach is supposed to do.
Yes, sir.
He's supposed to coach up and let those other coaches coach and prepare you and put everything together. But you don't have them coaching up the other players now.
Yeah.
You don't see it.
We have a question. Are you guys mad at Tika Barber about what he said when about Saquon going to Philly? What you guys think about what Tiki said about that?
I think it's a business, man. I think you got to do what's best for yourself.
I agree
because
with you.
there's no loyalty to the team. When they let you go, you're out the door. That loyalty's gone. So I think the players need to do what's best for them, because that loyalty is really kind of one way. in that league. You know, we've all been through it, the three of us. So you got to do what's best for you. And, you know, what's he going to do? Not take the best offer or the best situation for him because they're in the same division or a rival with the Giants? No, man. You got to
Yeah.
do what's best for you.
And the way I see it, the Giants had a chance to sign him last year. I would have signed Saquon before I signed Daniel Jones. I mean, that's what I would have done. But they
Yes,
didn't do that. So yeah,
that's right.
that's the price that they had to pay. I would have left too.
Yeah, you know, but that running back position, I think he's special. I think you pay a special guy like that. You
Yeah,
know, running backs used to get paid in our day. They don't get paid anymore.
yeah, yep, yep, absolutely, absolutely. And then I want you guys to make a comment. I guess the biggest news today was the trade between Buffalo and Stephon Diggs going to Houston. They get a second round in 2025, I think, and maybe something that's additional. But what you guys think about that? I know sometimes we know on and off on the subject, but I just want to see what you guys think about Stephon Diggs going to the Houston Texans.
Go ahead, Elvis.
I think it's a great move for Houston for a young quarterback.
Yeah,
He's got a stud at a wide receiver. He ain't shy. He's just got to make sure that he's still the man. He run the team the way he wants. He just keep Steph on wherever he is. I don't think Steph. Sometimes a change is good for some people.
yeah,
Sometimes a change is not so good for some people. Sometimes you can have. You remember Pittsburgh had that wide receiver and that running back there, and Tomlin was letting them do whatever they want, and they were superstars. Then
yeah,
all of a sudden they leave. What happened to them?
yeah. AJ Brown, those guys, yeah,
That was actually Antonio Brown
yeah,
and
Antonio Brown, yeah.
and the running back. Both of them left, and you never heard from them. They never got back on track again.
So in other words, it got to do with some chemistry and timing as well. So yeah, you're exactly
Yes.
right.
Well,
Because you was
I think he could do for this young great quarterback of Houston what he did for Josh Allen, right?
yeah,
Josh Allen was new guy. Well, the difference is Steph was 27 now. Then he's going to be 31.
right.
So it's a little different, and I'm sure it's a fresh start, and he'll get going until a couple of years, and he'll get angry with somebody.
Yeah, and plus the good thing about Stephon, he's a full-time Pro Bowler, so he brings a lot of experience, and he can help help the young quarterback, see a little bit, just get that feel that he probably gonna need, that assurance that he gonna need, and it's all about having that chemistry built around, making the big plays, and so I'm excited for Houston. Houston gonna be a tough team to beat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean they got all the pieces that they need in order to be successful. I think that the coach is a really really good coach. You know what I'm saying? He allowed them to be who they need to be, and I think that's the trend now. Will
Yeah,
the coach you have, is he good enough, calm enough, or smart enough to allow the players that he have, to transition to be the very best player that player can become or is at some point in time.
yeah,
And the unique thing behind the Kansas City Chiefs, and I use them as an example a lot of time because they got rid of Snead, a number one corner.
yeah,
And saying they traded him to Tennessee, then they ended up they get something. They got third round. They got some stuff
Yeah.
for him. They was able to pick up another
Do,
wide
you-
receiver for Patrick Mahomes.
do, do you know?
So
Do you know their leading receiver last year? How many passes he caught? 27.
yeah,
Kelsey and the running backs caught
yeah.
like a gazillion passes.
Right.
So here they go. They get rid of Travis or Hill, right?
Yeah,
Goes to Miami, and they win 2 Super Bowls without
yeah,
one of the best
mhm.
receivers. I mean, throwing to the tight end and running backs and
yeah.
Yeah,
rookie wide receivers. Come on.
It just goes to show you they centered around what's best for that quarterback and utilize that tight end to the utmost, and everybody else just pitch in. It's
it
a
works.
formula
But
that
it
has a
works.
formula. Yeah, yeah.
And plus, he's a pretty special kind of quarterback too. Now you
No,
ain't
no
seen a
doubt, no
quarterback
doubt.
like him.
Yeah,
You know, you know, in buku years. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This guy, as a freshman, when I first seen him, I told them that they would have won the Super Bowl a year prior to him becoming the starting quarterback. If they would have got rid of Alex Smith that one year, then Alex went the next year to Washington. If Patrick Mahomes would have played that full year, they'd have let him took it over. I think they would have went because they had Kareem Hunt then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they was kind of like loaded. I thought they had an opportunity, but they didn't. They, you know, whatever it is. And then the next year he became that starting quarterback. They gave it to him because
Speaking,
he shows so much like CJ you talking about in on the Texans. I
Yeah.
mean,
speaking of quarterbacks, did we not have like the toughest quarterback that maybe ever played? Was Sims not one of the
oh
toughest
oh
guys?
He
oh
was
my
tough.
God,
He
oh my
was
God,
tough.
he was definitely he was a man. Phil was tough. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm gonna call him a blue collar worker. You know what I'm saying? He's blue
Yeah.
collar. I
Yeah.
mean, when he comes out get down, he doesn't care. You hit him, he getting up,
Oh
and
yeah.
he wasn't about to take no wooden nickel from
And,
nobody. But
and
the
he's getting
same
in your
thing is,
face.
Yeah.
he
He
made
get
it
you face.
because of people like you, McConkey, Bobby, Lionel, you know, Byron, all of y'all, the tight ends, all of y'all played a great, you know, important part. And he was able to direct y'all and get what he needed out of you.
Yeah. He did. He was able to do that.
He was like a linebacker mentality playing quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
he
he had
played
the
with
freedom to do
injuries.
some stuff too.
Yeah, I know he played with some injuries. He had some concussions. He never did want to come out the game. I mean, he played with a broken thumb. I mean, just the list go on and on.
You know, I think even though he was a first round draft pick, he kind of had that free agent mentality, right?
Mhm.
And you know, he was tough and even like Joe Morris, right? Joe was a draft pick, you know, but Joe had that free agent mentality. And I think that's what kind of made us a great team is everybody. I don't care, you know, where you were drafted or where you came from. Everybody had that free agent mentality. And when you have that, man,
Yeah,
you know, you give everything for your teammates.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and that was that's what made the Giants who they was, man. Just everybody knew their role. Everybody had a special, just special part. And then we had some real good coaches. We had some, we
Oh
had some,
yes, oh yes. Lamar Leachman. Oh my God, huh?
he was so funny.
Oh man, huh?
I
Yeah,
could hear him. I could hear him in my sleep. He was so distinctive, that voice.
yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, we had some special coaches, and
Man, Romeo, look, I love Pat Hodgson. He was my position coach. And,
he
you
called
know,
me. I called him on my birth. He called me on my birthday. I called him on his birthday.
oh man. Hey, text me his birthday so I can call him on his birthday.
Okay.
Because he was, man, listen, the other thing about leadership, and I've studied leadership my whole life.
Uh-huh.
There's not one way to do things. There's not one way that works. You have to be you. What makes you you? And if you try to be somebody else, like if you were not like if Romeo tried to be Parcells, it wouldn't work,
No,
right?
no.
It's not. He had that soft hammer.
Yeah.
He was tough. He was demanding, but he had a different way to get guys to do what he wanted. Where Parcells, man, it was a hammer, and Romeo was different, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got 1 minute. You guys need to say anything, shout out to anybody. Feel free.
Well,
But I
I just
really,
want to
really
say, and I'm going
appreciate
to shut up because I've talked enough. I want
No,
to say how much I love you guys and how much I appreciate you, how much better you made me as not only a player, a football player, but as a person. And I'll never forget it. You're my brothers. I haven't seen some of you guys in decades, but it doesn't matter. You're my brothers, and I appreciate you so much.
yeah, thank
Well
you.
said.
Yeah, thank you, Phil, man. You just don't know, man. Just it's a thrill to always talk to you and get updates and share information. And man, we here for each other. That's what it's all about. We are here for each other.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you.
What you got,
Peace.
Elvis?
God bless you.
All right, man. Hey, you guys continue to work out. No, I'm just
Let's
joking, but
let's do
man,
it again. Let's do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again, man. We got this platform. We here on Wednesday night, hump night. So thank you guys again for coming
Thank
out
you.
and being part of this.
All
See
right,
you
thank
guys.
you.
All right, we'll see you guys.
And Byron, give